To understand why universal basic income makes sense, we have to first remember the original purpose of taxation. And no, it wasn't to fund the war. Well, it was, but the other original purpose of taxation, which is to redistribute wealth from the top to the bottom, from the most wealthy people to the less wealthy people. The reason this is necessary is because, due to the nature of capitalism, if you don't regulate it, you're going to end up with an upper class and a lower class, and we don't want that to happen. We'd rather have the middle class being the largest group. Think about it. In a capitalist system, people succeed for a reason. Because they were smart, because they worked hard, because they, had lucky opportunities, so on and so forth. Now, the last one can happen to anyone, but being smart and working hard, those have to do with character traits, and they tend to run in the family more often than not. So parents who are smart or worked hard tend to have kids who are smart and work hard. On the other hand, people who don't work as hard or aren't as smart or both tend to go towards the bottom in a capitalist system, and usually their kids end up the same way, because if the parents aren't smart and don't know how to work hard, how are they going to teach your kids to do that? So what happens is, after a few successive generations, you have an upper class of people who were smart or worked hard, and they're now privileged, and an underclass of people who were not smart or didn't work as hard, and they're not as privileged. And the thing is, having an upper class and a lower class tend to be bad for social stability and cohesion, as opposed to having a large middle class. My point, basically, is that capitalist systems need to be regulated for them to work over the long term. And taxation is one of the ways of doing that, of regulating the capitalist system. So back to universal basic income. The most successful entities in today's world are big tech corporations like Google, like Amazon, like Facebook, and so on. Their profits have grown exponentially over the past few years, over the past decade or two, and they've made that bank mostly on the backs of American consumers and also the consumers of other countries. The task of the American government, then, is to find a way to transfer wealth made by Google, by Amazon, by Facebook, by the most wealthy entities in society, and redistribute it to the American people. After all, these huge corporate conglomerates wouldn't be successful if it weren't for the American people and the system that the American government set up. The way that Andrew Yang is proposing to do that is through a value-added tax and the universal basic income, or as he calls it, the freedom dividend. For now, this video is just to remind everyone why taxation is necessary over the long term in a capitalist system, and by extension, why universal basic income, or as Andrew Yang calls it, the freedom dividend, is necessary in today's capitalist system. I did make another video going over and explaining the common concerns that people, especially conservatives, have about the freedom dividend. Now, why do I, and Andrew Yang, believe that universal basic income is a better form of taxation than all the others? Well, that's a topic for another video. Until then, feel free to comment on why you think universal basic income, aka the freedom dividend, is or is not a good idea.